There's one other special pairing that we want to talk about. So far we've talked about two angles that add up to make 90 degrees, complementary. Two angles that together make 180, supplementary. Okay? And then you're taking each amount, each chunk, and adding it to equal a number. There is also a type of relationship we've talked about called vertical angles. Remember that vertical angles are sides that are opposite of each other. So for example, this angle is directly opposite of this angle. If they were pieces of pie, the sides of those pieces of pie don't touch, right? This piece of pie opposite this side of it. No touching, right? It has no shared sides, 4 arms. Okay? To get from this piece of the pie to the other piece of the pie, I'd have to travel through one that was not part of the pair we're looking at. Okay? Vertical. The thing about vertical angles is they are congruent. They are equal. They are the same. Okay? So the way that we would set this up is this is angle A and this is angle B, which are on opposite sides. Then we have two pairs of opposites. Then we can say angle A is equal to angle B. We don't say that they're equal to a number, we say they're equal to each other. Equal to each other. Okay, so let's take a look at an example. Here we have two pieces of pie. If I wanted to get from the top pie to the pie over here, I have to go through some empty space, so they must be opposite. Okay, that means our setup is that our top angle, angle A, is equal to angle B. So I take this whole thing, this entire amount is how much angle A is. 7x plus 17. Okay? And then I say that it is going to be the same amount as whatever our second angle is. This part, everything included with that degree. So it's the same as 8x plus 2. Right? Now we need to solve our equation. First we check and see if we have to distribute, which we don't, no parentheses. Then we box, and we sort. We want x's on this side, numbers on this side. Okay, this has an x in it, so it stays on the x side. This one, no x, so it has to move to the other side with the numbers. Was a plus, now it's minus 17. I forgot to put my equal side here. There we go. So I have 7x on this side, minus 17. Now, on the right, I have an 8x, but the 8x is on the number side, so it has to move to the other side. And it was plus, if you don't see a sign, so now it becomes minus 8x. Finally, our plus 2 is a number. It's on the number side, so it can stay. All right. After we have sorted, now we combine, group. I had 7, I'm taking away all of those 7 and one more. That means now I have negative 1x. And you'll notice I wrote the 1 in front. You don't have to, but I feel like sometimes it's helpful. If I owe someone $17 and I pay them back 2, it means I still owe them $15, right? So I have 1x, negative 1x is equal to negative 15. Our last step is always to divide by the number in front of the x. Even if that number is a negative 1, right? If it's a negative, divide by the negative. That cancels out. And I have x is equal to negative and the negative make a plus. 15 divided by 1 is 15. So x equals positive 15. Did it ask us to substitute back in and solve for a particular angle? No? Nice. Then we're done. But always check. All right. So, complementary adds to 90. Supplementary add 180. Vertical equal to each other. Now, the angle pair relationships, we're not always solving for a value. We could also just be using information given. You'll notice there's an x, a y, and a z here, but they also gave us a number. Let's use what we know about the relationships to try to solve for that, okay? You may or may not need to go over this depending on whether or not Ms. Waite covered it with you already. If you feel like that this isn't information you know, feel free to check out the video online on your own, and it'll be there for you. So whether or not you need this, Ms. Waite will decide, okay? So let's see. First thing I see is that I have a big X. When that happens, I know I have an angle, and I usually start with the one that's given to me. I have 76 degrees, and it's over here. I also know that if I have an angle that's across from that, vertical angle, directly across, see if I draw a line from this side to the other side, this angle, I know that they're congruent. So vertical angles are equal. That means y has to be equal to 76, right? So y is 76. You don't have to find them in order. You can if you want. All right, let's see what else we can figure out. So now we know this one's 76 and this one's 76. But I need to figure out either x or z. The other thing I know is that I have a straight line, and if I connect these two angles together, they make a straight line. That means that they have to be supplementary, right? So I know that this 76 plus whatever this x is has to be equal to 180. If I sort this over here, what I'm really finding out is that I have to add some amount. Whatever amount I'm adding to 76 needs to give me 180. How much more do I need to get me from 76 to 180? I could solve that, but I could figure it out in my head too. To get me from 76 to 80, I need 4. And then to get the rest of the way to 180, I would need 100 more. So I have 104 for x. Okay. If x is 104, and I know that these two are vertical to each other, I know they have to be equal, and z has to be 104 as well. Okay. Let's also go through the second one, and then you can work on some practice on the back of this on your own. Alright, so let's see what we know. Step 1, I see a symbol I really like because everybody likes a good corner, right? Whenever I see a corner, I'm happy. I know a corner is 90 degrees. That's one right off the bat. Then I like to figure out ones that might also be that. See how this one, D, if I draw a straight line from D across through the center, if I draw lines from D to the center, the one that's straight across from that is B. These two are vertical angles. If I shade it in, you'll see that there are two pieces of pie that don't touch. That means that they have to be equal. So this one is 90 degrees also. Okay, so this one is 90 and B is 90. Let's see what else we can figure out. Looking at that, it means that from here and here, if I go all the way across, these three angles all together have to be equal to 180. Okay? So I could say that 90 plus the 24 plus the one I don't know, right? 90 plus 24 plus the one I don't know equals 180. Now the 90, the fact that this half is 90 and this half is 90 might help too. You could set it up this way. Or I could add these together. I have 90 and 24 together. Okay. And if I take this and I subtract 90 and 24 from 180, I figure out that C has to be equal to 66 degrees. Okay, 66 degrees. Okay. The other thing I know is that this is equal to 90, this one has to be equal to 90, this one has to be equal to 90, so all of these little angles together have to be equal to 90 as well, right? 33, 11, 12, and the one we don't know. All of those, 33 plus 11 plus 12 plus A equal 90. I add all of that up together, okay, and I subtract it from 90, then I end up with A equaling 34. Okay. So that should help you when you're trying to solve for and set up equations to solve, or when you're trying to solve for individual items. Either way, I strongly suggest the use of Desmos, and feel free to ask for help and work as a group as you're working on the back.